Everyone. Today is Thursday, March the 19th of 2026. And welcome for What's Trending. Let's see, what do we have here? Question from Rudy. The current state of affairs in the USA don't look great. Trump is pissed at Israel for bombing a gas field in Iran. We're seeing a lot of infighting on the political right as politicians seem to be distancing themselves from Trump in preparation for the midterm election and 2028 elections, which the Democrats are going to go down in a ball of flames, remember, because they can't stuff the ballot boxes anymore. And many Republicans who are rhinos are going to get thrown out as well. Trump's not endorsing anybody who doesn't support the SAVE Act. They'll put a new person in. Yeah, he's almost there. Nothing's going to stop him. War in Ukraine continues. Yeah, he's working on closing that one up too. News around deportations, Epstein, and 2020 election fraud are no longer in the headlines. Which is good because they are quietly working behind the scenes to charge all of these people and get the grand juries together. And it's very difficult to find a jury of your peers if it's in the news every day. It makes it very difficult. So that's actually working out. It's almost like Trump planned this. Okay, I'm going to go to war with Iran so that all this other crap will be out of the news and Pam Bondi can continue to do the good work. The SAVE Act is being slow rolled. It seems like but it did pass today. It was 51 to 48. The DC swamp is once again being successful of stealing Trump's agenda. Nope, they're not. They just think that they are. And the fact that that got through today, that just goes to show you he will win. He will. He's not. Look, the other option is for him to call in the military, and he will if he has to. Okay, so none of this shit is going to happen. He doesn't want to do it in a way that's going to upset everybody because they're still glued to their TV sets watching ABC nightly news, which is a total crock of you know what. You know, the mainstream media, like some of those people are going to jail. I mean, that's just going to be shocking for people. So this is not going the wrong way. This is going the right way. It's just that Trump doesn't want to call in the military, you know, and he's also going after the cartel. Did you hear that they just lit up Ecuador with the Ecuadorian government? So Ecuador is going to become like El Salvador, you know, very safe and wonderful to be in. Europe and UK, not so much, but Central and South America, yes. You know, Canada, not so much, right? Mexico, yes, becomes safe again. You know, it's all moving that way. You know, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the lies, you know, and anybody who has been on board with Donald Trump since the beginning needs to still be on board with him. And all of this lies about people are, you know, departing from him because of the war and stuff. You know, they just sound like a bunch of babies. You know, oh, but he went into this war and he said no wars. I was like, that sounds like my kids, but you said, Mom. Yeah, I did say that, but then you chose not to clean your room for 3 days in a row. So I'm just not feeling like going out to that restaurant anymore. So you broke your word to me. I break my word to you. That's how it works. But you said Trump isn't breaking his word. He just knew that this was the only way to do it and that he had to kill the leadership. And he told the Iranian people, you know, this is your only chance. Like, take this chance. And they're gonna win. Madeline says, Sam, why are all assets going down at the same time, especially in times of uncertainty? Bitcoin normally goes up. Just because of the financial drain. We have to remember, like, Bitcoin less than 10 years ago was only about $3,500. So, I mean, at correcting down to 70,000, that's just like a normal thing. I know it doesn't make people too happy who were not in the market and able to get Bitcoin at $3,500 or $4,000. But that's how I look at it. I'm like, oh yeah, well, it's just like when the market goes like that up and then it usually corrects. So you were down here, and of course you would have loved to have just, you know, cashed in right up here when it goes down, but it didn't go back to where it was. It goes like that, and then usually it pulls back, right? And then it goes back up again and goes even higher. Is Iran's new supreme leader still alive? Bobby, I just recently saw a clip that he was alive. But he is barely alive. And I do think they're going to kill him now that they know that he is barely surviving. He's disfigured, though. Okay, as it stands today, the midterm elections could turn out poorly for Republicans. What will be the first thing to turn the tide so that Trump is winning? What will be the first thing? Oh, well, I don't think that people watching the news, Rudy, and thinking all of this stuff, I don't think that there's going to be any sign that they're going to see, honestly, right? Just believe in all that stuff. And what I see is totally different. I'm like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? They have the IDF has total air support superiority. They're just flying through over Iran, just picking off these IRGC people who are trying to, regroup and stuff. So, anyways, Rudy, don't worry about it. It's all good. And what it comes down to is that he will call in the military if he has to. But the 4D chess he's playing is to do it without having to call in the military in America. But these people, they know they're in trouble, like Reid Hoffman, all these people financing the protesters. And people are starting to notice how they shift gears. What? They were just protesting the other week about, just name it, Palestine. Oh, now they're protesting about Iran. Same people. Isn't that wonderful? They started doing that. Like YouTubers started doing that. It was like, man, instead of being like useless and just making stuff up and clickbait stuff, why don't you be like Nick Shirley and start, investigating these people who are showing up at all these different demonstrations all over the place, because you'll match their picture. They've even interviewed these people. It's awesome. These people are getting paid like thousands of dollars a month of American taxpayer dollars. Don't believe them. Don't even believe them for a minute. Then they're getting their money's worth. If you believe them, yeah, they're getting their money's worth. So we know better here, don't we, guys? Keep it coming with the questions, keeping me, involved with what is going on in the news cycle. Scott with 1T says, hi, Sam. Since the beginning of the Iranian war, the price of oil or gas has skyrocketed. My basic question is, now it appears to be in some form boots are going to have to hit the ground in Iran. Will it be Israel or American boots? Well, it'll be Israeli. It'll just be like pretty much special forces, or in the case like where they're getting those 2,500 Marines, like specially trained American soldiers, not the general boots on the ground. They don't have to. They have air superiority, and the drones have taken care of sort of that in between, because before you needed boots on the ground because you didn't have that in between stage that is now filled by the drones. Now, instead of boots on the ground, you've got, a young man or woman sitting offshore in a naval destroyer protected, or in an aircraft carrier protected by an entire armada that is just, flying a drone and killing IRGCs on the ground as they get, locations reported. Opening the internet for Iran is what's key for the Iranian people to communicate with the IDF, like where these people are. So Scott with 1T, his basic question is that now appears to be that some boots are going to have to be on hit the ground. Okay, so answered that. It's going to be IDF boots. It's going to be, and also Gulf nations. Yeah, because they speak Arabic. So, and the languages that are spoken in Iran, the American soldiers do not speak those languages. They only speak English, and others speak like maybe Spanish. But if anyone's bilingual, normally it's English and Spanish. There's no Arabic or Farsi spoken in a big way. So it's going to have to be the Gulf states, and it's a good way for them to be able to sort of step up and say, oh, there's no NATO anymore. The Americans aren't involved in NATO. Let's form our own, alliance, and we'll ask if the Americans want to join. Yeah, the world is changing. Just because you live in France doesn't mean that you have a right to have the Americans on side with you for the rest of your life. And it looks like that's changing, because France is no longer France anyways. And that's not America's problem. That's France's problem. And my advice to anyone in France or Belgium or anywhere in like get out as soon as you can. Make plans to get out when your crypto wave, when that money comes in. Don't be dumb. Do not invest money or give money to anybody who lives in these places because it's not a good idea. Make sure your money leaves.
All right, so this here, it says here, attacks reported on 3 more cargo ships in the Gulf with oil prices back near 100. Yeah, I saw that oil was climbing back up again and that gold had gone up actually some more after like such a quick climb to, 5,500, and then it pulled back. And I was like, oh, they must be firing on some of the vessels. Um, but that's going to be short lived because remember that this is Chinese oil that's getting fired upon more than it is anybody else's. It's certainly not America's oil because they're getting oil from Venezuela now, and they still get a bunch of oil from Canada. So remember that oil is one of the things that is attached to President Trump's economic recovery plan for the Americans. And it is one of the things that immediately affected the quality of their lives as far as how much everything was costing. Even I noticed, because when you're traveling and the gas prices are way down here, you notice it because instead of when you're traveling and you're traveling for let's say 3 days straight, you can spend like a lot of money on gasoline, and you notice it when every time you fill up, it's like $43 instead of 65. That's your meal that normally you stop and get something to eat. So yeah, remember that that's attached to President Trump and his recovery. So he is going, like he said, he released the reserves. They're going to continue to protect the oil supply. But again, in a state of war, things are going to be a bit like that. Civilian cargo ships been bombed, driving oil back up and making people afraid to cross the Strait of Hormuz again. Will there be any consequences for that? And let's see, it says here US Israeli forces zeroing in on banks and militia checkpoints. So, in the past 24 hours, there's been a sharper focus in the US Israeli targeting. They've been zeroing in on national infrastructure and security forces. Yesterday, Iran's oldest bank, Bank Sephan, was struck by an airstrike in Tehran. It's said to play a key role in paying the salaries of Iran's military and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. So remember, they're doing everything they can to disrupt and destroy the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps after killing all the leadership and just basically raining fear on down to these people. And all they can do is many of them are just fighting because they know if they give up the fight that their own people are going to kill them. So Trump really just has to give them a way out in order to save the lives of the regular Iranian people. And he's not going to give them freedom and a ticket to America or anything like that. But he says he'll probably say they can turn themselves in and then they can reintegrate later. He knows that the ones with the weapons are the ones that he needs to talk to, because you can take a stand and you can have a jet fly over and maybe blow up their house, but they won't let their wife leave, they won't let their kids leave. So this is who Donald Trump is thinking of. He's not thinking of these evil a-holes who have the guns. He's thinking about the collateral damage, like the girls in the school. Like he knew that was part of it when the Iranian people were begging him to save them. But they all know, like they want the bombs to fall. They're like, we're willing to take the chance and just don't let these lives be in vain. We know this is part of it. We know, just like the 6 American soldiers, he knew that there's nobody, like there's nothing that's going to go so perfectly that you're not going to end up with some sort of collateral damage. Like even the Venezuelan maneuver to get Maduro, that guy who practically had his legs shot off, that's not fun. I'm sure that he doesn't want to do that again, but he will if you order him to because he's a soldier. That's what they do. And thank goodness for people like that. Because I'll tell you, not everybody's cut from that cloth, and nor should they be. We all need to be different. Somebody's got to be the soldier, another person's got to be the nurse. The foreign minister Abbas warned of retaliation. Major international banks in the Gulf states, including Citibank and our HSBC, temporarily closed their offices. Yeah, because it's dangerous for their employees. Good call on that. And in Tehran last night, there were more drone strikes on small street checkpoints of the Basid, a volunteer militia, which has played a key role in brutally suppressing protests. So they're going after them. It's not going to be safe for anybody trying to suppress the people. And they do. They navigate those drones. They own the skies. So it doesn't need to be a military jet. It can be one of the more lower grade drones that just flies through, sees these guys with guns harassing people, kills them. I mean, it's a new type of war out there, isn't it? It's, you got kids as in, a 25-year-old or a 32-year-old sitting in offshore, on an aircraft carrier or a destroyer. And that's where the drones are launched from. That's right. There have been repeated U.S. Israeli pledges that they'd create the conditions for Iranians to take to the streets. Yeah, and that's what they're doing. Yeah, it is not safe for you if you are part of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard. Trump tells Axios there's practically nothing left to target in Iran. Yeah, they got it all now. Let's see. I believe you said something like this on Monday. Yeah, I think so. I know things would move quickly.
Okay. When will there be relief at the gas pump? I guess I asked two questions. That's okay, Scott with Wendy. You're allowed to ask me two questions, no problem. When will there be relief at the gas pumps? I would say by the summertime. It'll start, the price of gas will start hitting new lows again. Joseph says, hi, Sam. The Iran war has crossed the 2-week mark. Do you see it going on for much longer? We are seeing drone strikes in Dubai every day. Today, the airport got hit. Should we evacuate Dubai or are we safe? Thanks. Well, it would be kind of a shame at this point, Joseph, to evacuate Dubai. I mean, it's more dangerous to be on an airplane in that area leaving right now. I'm not lost on the fact we should probably look up the reading that I gave to Guy in Dubai.
Dubai is okay for now, and you don't own anything there. So you can leave very easily. I think that Israel and Iran are going to get into it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and Dubai is just
too close.
Collateral damage, I guess. Yeah. Anything in that area is going to be some collateral damage. But Dubai is, it's fairly safe. Somebody might make a political statement by, like, for example, blowing off the top of one of those great big buildings. Do you know what I mean? The big, tall one that they'll make a political statement. We're going to blow off the top of that building. Yeah, so that's what I'm seeing, is that Dubai is going to be entangled somehow. And of course, when Israel and Iran get into it, and I say get into it because I can't see anything lasting very long, to be honest with you, because Israel is pretty formidable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they'll end things pretty quick for sure. And the people of Iran will get their country back. But in the meantime, the reason I'm talking about this stuff is that it's going to affect you when it happened.
And that was, there were attacks in Dubai. And I just thought that was weird that he was taking a cab to get out of the country until he told me he didn't own a car. And then I was like, oh, well, I am seeing a real situation then. This isn't made up in my brain. This was like 7 years ago. I was new to this, right? I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea. I made sure I knew that I could do it before I started charging people any money. That's for sure. Yeah. So I know that America and Israel, they're going to stay at it. It's been 2 weeks, but I think in my blab that I said a couple of days and then I said 2 to 3 weeks. So I think that and I said no boots in the ground except for something like the special forces. So I saw like a very small group of men on the ground. And so the Marines would kind of fit that bill. The Marines are, and it's Iran has already been subdued. It's just that they can't say that they're not going to put boots on the ground, because that would be like strategically, that unless like they use Tucker Carlson for strategy. That blew me away, how they got wind of him communicating with the Iranians. And again, he knows people from all over the world. I'm sure he's got Putin's phone number as well. And Americans are the better for it if your journalists have the phone numbers of other leaders and they feel like they have an audience to speak to, and so at least we can parse what they're saying. But yeah, I think that Tucker got himself tangled up in the same thing that John Kerry did. Now, the fact that they haven't done anything to John Kerry, if I was Tucker's legal team, I would have something to say about that. I would say, yeah, what about John Kerry? I mean, you haven't done anything. Look, he did this and this and this. I mean, he was like blatantly involved in espionage. This guy here just thought he could, calm things down, and didn't realize that, he shouldn't have been communicating with people from the IRGC. It's a little bit more innocent than stuff that was going on with John Kerry. From what I was looking at, I was like, oh yeah, there's hypocrisy everywhere. So yeah, that's what I would do. Can you tell I used to like and follow Tucker Carlson? I'm just absolutely heartbroken. I'm just like, oh my gosh, and it was what I said. It was, he just didn't have the right people surrounding him. He had all of these like lunatics on his channel, and he wasn't, like, for example, I mean, if I was going to be on as a guest on somebody's podcast, I would look up their previous work, the guests that they had on, who I'm going to have my name associated with, right? So yeah, Tucker Carlson, he's in really big trouble. They said they actually did set a trap for him. It's very obvious what happened. And that wasn't something I was privy to, because, that's not something you want to blab ahead of time when they're doing their work, right? Yeah, then I'll make trouble for myself. I don't want that. So yeah, the answer is no, Joseph, you should not evacuate at this point. It's more dangerous for you to start trying to travel out of that place. Just, shelter in place. It's going to be over soon. Like maybe another week. I mean, the Iranians already said that they want to surrender, but Trump's like, yeah, they're not ready yet. They say that they are, but they're not ready. They know if they go anywhere, they're going to get blown to bits, and they're just terrified. And people are leaving them left, right, and center, because they know they have they have devices on them somewhere. And so remember all the people who were talking about sleeper cells, and they're trying to use the example of like those two teenage boys who were born in the US, who are just, their parents are Looney Tunes. They are from that part of the world, and they talked bad about America because they believed the BS that the mullah and the local Islamic temple there spread to them. Because, just like there's bad Christian churches where they're spreading the name it and claim it and some of the most ridiculous things that I've heard, there has been some, what do you call them? Are they called temples or Islamic? Oh, mosques. It's Jewish temples, Islamic mosques. Got you. So you have some people who come in and they just spread that stuff and they say it. And then people, let's say that they are down on their luck and they feel like they're left out. Maybe they, are putting job applications out everywhere and they're not getting a call, whereas their neighbor's kid gets a really good job like that, really easy, and it doesn't seem to be working out for that person. And they tend to, sometimes blame it on other factors, and they spread it to their kids. And all of this negativity and this all, it usually is attached to other things as well. And, that's why they showed up to throw an IAD, making bombs in their home, all full of hate. And this is what you're dealing with in the United States, not these sleeper cells that you're going to find out have been floated with, iridium moolah dollars for, 2 years now. And they've been meeting in church basements as, Alcoholics Anonymous or something, undercover, just waiting for the call. They stopped using pagers a little while ago. Don't know why. So yeah, no sleeper cells. So you know what? Punish those people who made you fearful. Punish them for making you fearful. They didn't know anything. And don't listen to them. Listen to me. That's one of the Samisms we're going to put on the cup. Actually, that'll be probably the only two-sided one. It'll be like, don't listen to them. Listen to me. Oscar says, hi, Sam. With the current situation in Iran impacting oil supplies, do you see some countries, particularly Australia, bringing in fuel rationing? No. If so, how will this impact society? Well, the overall unemployment that's coming is going to be what impacts the Western world, because governments are overspending and investors don't want to invest in countries that have a low productivity rate. That's what's going on in Canada right now. Like the productivity rate is half. I think it's half of what it is in America, like 50%. And that's one of the things that the opposition leader, Pierre Poilievre, talks about is, getting the oil flowing and just reinvesting in manufacturing and in, Canadians and the workforce. Because right now that's really quite low, and a lot of pension funds that are investing in different places in the world, they just don't want to invest in Canada. Mexico's getting more of the up and coming dollars, that are the money that's not going to America. Mexico's getting more of that, I guess is what I'm saying. So it's just bad news all around for places like Canada, because they're competing with Mexico. And Australia is just overall in bad shape in the sense that China is in bad stagflation right now. So anyways, Oscar, thank you for that great question. So fuel reserves are definitely not going to be Australia's problem. It's going to be the unemployment and the high debt ratio. But, the way you fix that is that people band together. So for example, you may have 4 different households now banding together and sharing one household. And that doesn't mean that it's 16 people. 4 different households could be like a couple, one person and a married couple with 2 kids. So, oh, boo, there's 7 people in a house. Oh, wow. So what? In Canada, you have the progressive conservatives and you have the liberals. And our colors are switched. So our conservatives in Canada are blue and the liberals are red. So I had to get my head around that with the United States when I started, answering your questions about the US, and now you have this European hack, Mark Carney. He feels like he's more European. He has all of these passports. He doesn't live in Canada. I think his wife and his stepdaughter live in the United States. Anyhow, I think Canadians are starting to figure out that might have been a big mistake. But the big difference is that the United Kingdom is totally going down, whereas Canada will go like this and it'll go up. And Canada has a lot more to offer as far as a really small population right next door to the US, huge amounts of water frontage, mining resources, fresh water. I mean, Canada has so much going for it just underneath their feet. Canadians are 6 to 8 times wealthier than Americans. It's just that now you've got these people who are coming in and they're following the same playbook that they were following in the US, but they're so stupid. It's like, oh, didn't you hear? Yeah, that's over with now. If you do that, you're going to get caught and probably put in jail. But as far as when I talk about cabals or the deep state, it is loosely related criminals all over the world. So there's some, for example, the death cult. They do it because of a religious ideology. Like they really do believe that they're going to get 72 virgins. But then there's people in that group, they don't believe in any of that stuff, but the money train is huge for them. The money train, the women they get, that's why they're there. So some people are there because they truly do believe in the ideology. Other people are there because of the money, the corruption. You see that in the United States, for example, the politicians. There's many who are just there for the amount of money they can siphon off of the system. Well, the World Council for Health, Madeline, I would look into that source. Who that, people create a lot of things, because you got to remember it works both ways, right? You've got the clickbait doomers over here where nothing's ever true, right? And then you've got a group of people who are just looking for clickbait any way they can get it. So if they can get you all upset that, people trying to get ivermectin to people fighting cancer, that they're putting them in jail. They're letting people out early because they can't house them. Like they have no money in Canada. They can't all of a sudden like, oh, now we have money. No, they have no money. They are out of money. And this is the issue that I have. I was reading, seeing, because I get messages from what used to be my hometown, and I see that they've got the kids down in this small town, being activists for the budget cuts for the arts. So you have all of these teachers getting kids all worried about the arts being cut and turning the government into some sort of, evildoers because they're cutting the arts, when the reality is that for a very long time, society has done nothing. And now that they can no longer shove the debt down onto these kids who aren't even of working age, now the interest rates have been risen, because the reason why the arts have been cut is because the province's debt has been their debt payment. How you get a credit rating? Well, provinces or states get credit ratings. And the province that I was in, they got downgraded, and now they pay tens of millions more per year just on the interest debt. So if you collected this much money and your interest debt was this much, now it's this much. So what are you going to cut to pay for that? What are you going to cut? Like nursing services for elderly people? Are you going to cut psychological support for teenagers? Cutting? Are you going to cut those, or what? Right? You're going to cut the arts. You're going to cut like these museums that are open in the summertime that nobody visits. I've been there. It's a ghost town. I stop into these museums that are in the middle of nowhere in a town of 4,000 or 5,000 people. And you literally have one person fighting for a job so that they can have a job from May to October. That's what it comes down to. And you can only do that if you're in a rich society. And this is the price that we're going to see if them paying in Canada. It's going to start rolling down, and very soon you're going to see, for example, no operations on people over the age of 75 unless you pay for it, or pretty soon, like my mom who's in her 80s and gets dialysis right now, pretty soon it'll be like, nope, no dialysis for people over this age unless you pay for it. We just don't have the money. And it's not even about, it's not about a cruelty thing. It's about, okay, this is how much money we have, and we have to decide where to spend it. Okay, so are we going to operate on this baby that has a heart anomaly, or are we going to do dialysis for this 88-year-old until it just doesn't work anymore? We got one of two choices here. This baby dies if we don't do this and spend the money on the, like I said, people are living like in this la la land where they can get whatever they want if they holler loud enough, and they can, let's get the kids together. And, it's really quite disgusting behavior. So Truth Seeker, thanks for clarifying that. So all that happened is that they made this doctor look like a quack in Alberta, and they have banned her. So they've now spun it into, they're going to put you in jail if you give people ivermectin, which is not true, right? But they decided to go after this particular doctor, where we do believe in what she was, preaching, but we don't know the full details about it. So yeah, you got to be careful about that when people like sort of have everything all in one article. And yes, you're right. It is terrible that they put this type of news out there. And, because again, you guys have bad anxiety, some of you, and those things, they know it presses the anxiety button. Whereas with me, I'm never going to press that anxiety button with you unless you do have something to worry about. But it's only to give you information on how you can get out of the way or how you can help others get out of the way. Because that's really what I'm keyed into. I don't see anything that is not survivable by everybody here. Like I want to use the Iran war as an example. I mean, a lot of people were asking me about the Middle East and going to the Dubai and stuff like that. I mean, and I've always said the same thing. The war in Iran, that is something that scared me, right? Because I knew that it was going to go on for a long time. Not the war right now. I'm talking about 7 years ago when Hamas and Hezbollah were lobbing rockets at Israel. That was the Iran war, and it has lasted a very long time. And this is going to be the end of it. The head of the snake has been cut off. And I'm glad at least the Iranian leader has come forward. He's extremely disfigured, and they're going to kill him probably by tomorrow. But he's in hiding, and you can't run a country in hiding. And they will continue, and they're gonna start seizing their money. I do definitely see that Trump is gonna take the money that's in the United Kingdom, and he's gonna make sure he gets that. And he's not taking no for an answer. Yeah. It's like, I would love to see Keir Starmer Maduro'd, but Trump is going to be leaving NATO and the United Nations. I mean, that was pretty clear to all of you who've been following me for over 7 years now. That was always one of the things that I saw. It was completely necessary that the United States do that. Bradley J says, hello, Sam. NATO partners are rejecting Trump's call. Oh, look at the next question. Trump's call for Hormuz warship escorts. Trump is not happy and has been complaining about how we protect them, and they just say we'd rather not get involved. Question, is this the event that triggers the U.S. withdrawing from NATO, as you have predicted earlier? Yeah. And the event that triggered the United Nations decision was when they stopped the escalator and also the video monitor, because I made a comment about, these people thought that they were so funny. I can see them. Oh, look, the escalator stopped working. Oh, and that's dangerous. It's dangerous to have the president and the first lady stuck on an elevator, right? And there's they were given the order, they stay, and then they were given the order, okay, walk up. Because every single move is monitored by the Secret Service. Because again, if people can kill the president of the United States, I mean, the stock market would go into free fall and all these terrible things would happen. The losers, those kids at the United Nations who thought that was funny, right? They're all out of work. They're all going to be out of work. He's not paying the bill. He's like, yeah, I'm not paying the bill now. Oh, too bad. Escalator didn't work, and monitor was broken. You guys were doing a crummy job anyways. I'm not paying tens of millions of dollars in dues for elevators who don't work. And that Trump, that building in New York is going to be sold. And the funny thing is it's going to be for a reduced price because of Adani and what he's doing. Look at what they do to themselves. It's beautiful to watch how they consume their young. I mean, they destroy themselves. Donald says, Iran has shown itself to be more resilient and offensive than I considered. They cannot win a kinetic war and yet prevail in their launchings and destruction. Is there a defining moment where compromise surrender occurs? Thanks. No. The death cult will be killed, every single one of them. As long as they have breath, as long as they have movement, they will be killed. They are systematically wiping them off of the planet. The airstrike that even happened yesterday killed a whole bunch of Iranians high up. So they're getting the word, and they're not able to reach these people that they're getting instructions from. This is causing full-blown panic and despair. Now, you cannot expect a country that has, for how many years has it been? 47 years has been building up and having tunnels and missiles and arsenals and spreading its tentacles out financially all over the world. You cannot expect within just a few weeks for it to be completely shut down. And you're right, they cannot win a kinetic war, but they can't win the other war either, because they need money to survive. and America, they've got their finger on that pulse, and they are cutting down. Like, this has all been very strategic. It started with USAID. There's a reason why DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, went into action early on, because they had to cut off the money for these people, right? And look at Minnesota, right? Look at California. Oh yeah, they're getting cut off big time. I mean, they weren't expecting that. Totally blindsided. People are catching on. And so don't believe anything that the media is telling you. Stop it. Stop listening to them. Of course, I'm saucy, right? Like on X, I'm like, oh, yes, would that be the same media that told us Carmelo was going to win? Crypto Watchman says, what is his intention with New York City? Do you see what his ultimate plan is? Oh, well, no, he doesn't actually have an ultimate plan. I mean, he's just an idiot. He's an idiot. He's going to ruin New York City. I mean, it's just the height of idiocy that has come in, and that the New York City people have allowed, right? And of course, they do a little bit of ballot box stuffing as well, because they've got that down to a science in all of these states where they're never stopped. I'm hoping the next mayor will not be as destructive as Miss Mendani. Yeah, so if anybody is in New York State still, I really hope you don't own anything. But yes, you can see dark times are coming. And just on a side note, as far as the United Kingdom goes, I did mention before on the weekend about how I was repeating numerous times that it was Nigel Farage's relationship with Trump that got the United Kingdom saved.
And Britain will have its own set of problems altogether. And this is why I'm hopeful about Nigel Farage, because I do see that his relationship with Donald Trump will be the saving grace of Britain.
And I missed it before because, we always thought that the United Kingdom had a great relationship with the United States, that it hadn't gone sour, but now it has. Now it's sour. So we missed that. But now that we're examining the blab, now we can see why it's so important that the United Kingdom elect a leader that has a great relationship with Trump, because he's going to be the only one who can help with the economic downturn. I mean, the United Kingdom can never be like it was before, but it can improve its productivity significantly. So I do see promise there. It's just that they don't have the right leadership in place, and the will of the people, it's not strong enough yet. So that's my UK blab. So gold is at 46.35. Wow, that's huge. Silver is at $70.42. That's all going to turn around probably. And gold is down $200 in one day. So yeah, it's probably a good time to pick some up before Easter. Let's see. When is Easter, guys? Do you know when Easter is? I think April, the top's going to come off the COMEX, and we're going to see some big price rises. So yeah, this is a good price to buy in at if you're looking to buy gold and silver right now. This is the pullback. And as I mentioned, gold would move. Before, gold might have moved like $10, $15 in a day, and then we'd see it move like 10 or 20 in a day. But I said that there will be a time that it would move, hundreds of dollars in a day.
They've put the offer out there for the Palestinians to have their own land, their own country. And of course, the people who make money off of continuing this generational hate against Israel, they're going to push hard for no. And that is going to be the destruction of them all. I do not feel good about what's happening in the Middle East. So if you think that you're not going to see gold like run into the hundreds of dollars in just a few days, you just wait and see.
And we're seeing that now. All right. So we got a lot of stuff coming up. And Saturday's busy with weekly crypto review and with the Advanced and Premium live stream. I'm going to open this up shortly for the Psychic Nerds Basic so that they can watch the replay. And if you want to get in live on the Weekly Crypto Review, you have to upgrade to the $40 a month tier. If you're having any problems with that, just let us know. And on Sunday, of course, is going to be coffee chat, as usual. All right. And I'll see some of you on Saturday. And if I don't see you Saturday, then there's no reason why you can't be on coffee chat. Because that is right now, it's a Psychic Nerds Basic event and above. Everybody can get into coffee chat right now. So take advantage while you can, because I do have a limit on my Zoom. And once we start getting close or up over that limit, then we'll have to raise the tiers for the coffee chat. But right now, it's everybody who is a paying tier member, you also get your Discord, which is probably number one. I've noticed a few people don't have their Discord on the go, but I'm going to recommend that you get on that. Okay, guys, I'll see you in the Discord room, and bye for now.